we're now going to work through working on per capita as a rate. So in this particular case, we are talking about DUIs. You're driving under the influence for different states, and we want to find them per capita. So per capita, if you recall, per capita means per person. So what we're going to do is we're going to do DUIs over the number of people. Okay, and we're going to do this for each one. Now, we're going to do California together, and then I'm going to ask you to do the other states, and then come back and check your answers. But anyway, so California. Number of DUIs in California. We've got 155,285, and we're going to divide that by the population of 38,802,500. Now, your calculator might spit it out in scientific notation or standard notation. You're going to have to figure that out, but they want this as a decimal. So I have 0.004, and I brought it out quite a few places. So you can round as much or as little as you want. It doesn't matter. Okay, so I just took it out quite a few places. And that's our decimal rate. Now that means there are 0.004 DUIs per person. I'm not like, well, that doesn't mean anything. And you're right, it doesn't. It's very hard to figure out what that kind of an answer means. Now, when we go to the next column here, where it says per 100 people. Okay, so this one is per 1, this next one is per 100, and this one is per 10,000. So how to get from one column to the next? Well, I always start with this column because it's per 1, and 1 is the easiest to deal with. If I take my per 1, and I'm going to go ahead and round. You know what? Forget this. I'm going to round. 0.004. If I take that and I multiply by 100, I get my rate per 100. So there are 0.4 DUIs per 100 people. Okay, not too bad. Now, I'm going to start again with this one to get my column over here. If I do my per 1 and I multiply by 10,000, that gives me 40. Right? Because you multiply by 10,000, you end up with 40. So there are 40 DUIs per 10,000 people. That's what it means. So if you put 10,000 people in a room in California, this is in California, 40 of them will have a DUI, right? That's kind of what this kind of averages out to. So that's what this is. All right, so I want you to go through that process for Indiana, Illinois, Alabama, and Alaska. And then come back and check your answers, and I'm going to have them here figured out for you. And you can go ahead and round. Let's go 3 decimal places for everything. Okay, I realized that after I told you to round everything to 3, that doesn't really work because our friends here in Illinois and Alabama, if you only go to 3 decimal places, you're going to have 0. So I did take those out a little bit farther. I hope you did too. But you can see Indiana, and I'm going to talk per 10,000 here. Indiana's got 20 DUIs per 10,000. Illinois only has 3. Alabama has 0.3. And Alaska's up to 30, which that really surprises me. But it looks like Alabama, they just really must not drive under the influence, or the cops don't pick them up, one or the other, right? But that's how it is. All right, so you have yourself your table, and I hope that you got that correctly. If you have questions, you can go ahead and shoot me an email. But let's go ahead and answer some questions about this. So which day has the second highest rate? Now, second highest rate means you're going to look at these numbers. Alaska. Alaska has the second highest rate. Right? California had the most, then Alaska. Did this state also have the second highest number? Oops, wrong way. Well, if we look at the numbers, California had the most, then Indiana, then Illinois, then Alaska. So no, they had the 4th highest number, but the second highest rate. And that's because you got to take into account how many people you have, right? That's how it matters. That's why it matters. Now, why do we need the last 2 columns? And this is kind of an opinion question, but if you think about it, if you're talking about this concept, this issue, and you're only looking at this column, it's very hard to compare, even conceive those numbers and how small they are. So, and even this per 100, you're still dealing with small decimals. It's very difficult. But when you get to the times 10,000, you know, it might be hard to think about 10,000 people, but I can picture, you know, a baseball stadium half full, right? There's maybe 20,000 people or something. But then you can actually, you can see 40 people out of 10,000. Those are numbers that you can kind of comprehend, whereas 0.4 out of 100, what does that really even mean? So the last 2 columns just work to get things into perspective. So I think it's all about perspective. That's my personal opinion. Now, which scaled rate, per 100 or per 10,000, seems more appropriate? Well, I've already kind of mentioned this. I think it's per 10,000, because when we're talking about California and we say 40 out of 10,000 people, those are concrete numbers. You know what $40 looks like. I wish I knew what $10,000 looks like. But those are numbers that we can actually conceive. And when you can think about 40 people to 10,000, it's easier than thinking 0.4 to 100, right? So it's just concrete numbers. Number 4, use the DUI arrests per capita in Indiana in a meaningful sentence. Well, if you think about per capita in Indiana, the number was 0.002. So this means there are 0.002 DUI arrests per person in Indiana. That's what that number means. Because this was per capita. Oops. Per is the fraction bar, per capita. Okay, now let's do per 100. Well, that number was 0.2. So that means there are 0.2 DUI arrests in Indiana. Ooh, I should have put per 100 people in Indiana. I forgot my per 100 there for a second. Right? You want to have all your information. Now, per 10,000, we use the number 20. So we would say there are 20 DUI arrests per 10,000 people in Indiana. Now, it is important that you say in Indiana because all the states are different, right? If you just say there's 20 DUI arrests per 10,000 people, is that everywhere? Is that countrywide? Is that just in Fort Wayne? Is that in Warsaw? Is that in South Bend? Is that in Indianapolis? Be specific about when, where, what, when, how. Numbers, right? Quantify and locate. All right, there you go.